Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the first day of a new Roald Dahl story. So we've done 3 so far. So today I'm going to start on the Giraffe and the Pelly and me. Now I know Jack, who's been enjoying my stories, guessed or tried to guess that it was going to be Fantastic Mr. Fox next. Well, Jack, it isn't, but I promise you I will read that story next when I finish this one. Okay, so let's get started. Not far from where I live, there is a queer old empty wooden house standing all by itself on the side of the road. I long to explore inside it, but the door is always locked, and when I peer through a window, all I can see is darkness and dust. I know the ground floor used once to be a shop because I can still read the faded lettering across the front, which says The Grubber. My mother has told me that in our part of the country in the olden days, a grubber was another name for a sweet shop. And now, every time I look at it, I think to myself what a lovely old sweet shop it must have been. On the shop window itself, somebody has painted in white the words "For Sale." One morning, though, I noticed that "For Sale" had been scraped off the shop window, and in its place somebody had painted "Sold." I stood there staring at the new writing and wishing like mad that it had been me who had bought it, because then I would have been able to make it into a grubber all over again. I've always longed and longed to own a sweet shop. The sweet shop of my dreams will be loaded from top to bottom with sherbet suckers and caramel fudge and Russian toffee and sugar snorters and butter gumballs and thousands of other glorious things like that. Oh boy, what I couldn't have done with that old grubber shop if it had been mine. On my next visit to the grubber, I was standing across the road gazing at the wonderful old building when suddenly an enormous bathtub came sailing out through one of the second floor windows and crashed right into the middle of the road. A few moments later, a white porcelain lavatory pan with the wooden seat still on it came flying out of the same window and landed with a wonderful splintering crash just beside the bathtub. This was followed by a kitchen sink and an empty canary cage and a 4-poster bed and 2 hot water bottles and a rocking horse and a sewing machine and good knows what else besides. It looked as though some madman was ripping out the whole of the inside of the house, because now pieces of staircase and bits of the banisters and a whole lot of old floorboards came whistling through the windows. Then there was silence. I waited and waited, but not another sound came from within the building. I crossed the road and stood right under the windows and called out, "Is anybody at home?" There was no answer. In the end, it began to get dark, so I had to turn away and start walking home. But you can bet your life nothing was going to stop me from hurrying back there again tomorrow morning to see what the next surprise was going to be. When I got back to the Grubber house the next morning, the first thing I noticed was the new door. The dirty old brown door had been taken out, and in its place someone had fitted a brand new red one. The new door was fantastic. It was twice as high as the other one had been, and it looked ridiculous. I couldn't begin to imagine who would want a tremendous tall door like that in this house unless it was for a giant. As well as this, somebody had scraped away the sold notice on the shop window, and now there was a whole lot of different writing all over the glass. I stood there reading it and trying to figure out what it meant. The Ladderless Window Cleaning Company. Get your windows cleaned without a lot of dirty ladders leaning against your house. I tried to catch some sign or sound of movement inside the house, but there was none. Until all of a sudden, out of the corner of my eye, I noticed that one of the windows on the top floor was slowly beginning to open outwards. Then a head appeared at the open window. I stared at the head. The head stared back at me with big, round, dark eyes. Suddenly, a second window was flung wide open, and all the crazy things, a gigantic white bird hopped out and perched onto the windowsill. I knew what this one was because it's an amazing beak, which was shaped like a huge orange-coloured basin. The pelican looked down at me and sang out, "Oh, how I wish for a big fat fish. I'm as hungry as ever could be. A dish of a fish is my only wish. How far are we from the sea? Well, we're a long way from the sea, I called back to him. But there is a fishmonger in the village not far away. A fish what? A fishmonger. Now, what on earth would that be? Asked the pelican. I've heard about a fish pie, and a fish cake, and a fish finger, but I've never heard of a fishmonger. Are those mongers good to eat? This question baffled me a bit, so I said, Who is your friend in the next window? She is the giraffe, the pelican answered. Is she not wonderful? Her legs are on the ground floor, and her head is looking out of the top window. As if all this wasn't enough, the window on the first floor was now flung wide open, and out popped a monkey. The monkey stood on the windowsill and did a jiggly little dance. He was so skinny, he seemed to be only made out of the furry bits of wire, but he danced wonderfully well, and I clapped and cheered and did a little dance myself in return. We are the window cleaners, sang out the monkey. We will polish your glass till it's shining like brass, and it sparkles like sun on the sea. We are quick and polite. We will come day or night, the giraffe and the Pelly and me. We're a fabulous crew, we know just what to do, and we never stop work to drink tea. All your windows will glow when we give them a go, the giraffe and the Pelly and me. We use water and soap, plus some kindness and hope, but we never use ladders, not we. Who needs ladders at all when you're 30 feet tall? Not giraffe and not Pelly, not me. I stood there enthralled. Then I heard the giraffe saying to the pelican in the next window, Pelly, my dear, be so good as to fly down and bring that small person up here to talk to us. At once the pelican spread his huge white wings and flew down onto the road beside me. Hop in, he said, opening his enormous beak. I stared at the great orange beak and backed away. Come on, the monkey shouted from up in the window. The Pelly isn't going to swallow you. Climb in. I said to the pelican, I'll only get in if you promise not to shut your beak once I'm inside. You have nothing to fear, cried the pelican. And let me tell you why. I have a very special beak. A special beak have I. You'll never see a beak so fine. I don't care where you go. There's magic in this beak of mine. Hop in and don't say no. I will hop in, I said, unless you swear on your honour that you won't shut it once I'm inside. I don't like small dark places. When I have done what I'm about to do, said the pelican, I won't be able to shut it. You don't seem to understand how my beak works. Show me, I said. Watch this, cried the pelican. I watched in amazement as the top half of the pelican's beak began to slide smoothly backwards into his head until the whole thing was almost out of sight. It bends and goes down inside the back of my neck, cried the pelican. Is that not sensible? Is that not magical? Well, it's unbelievable, I said. It's exactly like one of those metal tape measures my father's got at home. When it's out, it's straight. When you slide it back in, it bends and disappears. Precisely, said the pelican. You see, the top half is no use to me unless I'm chewing fish. The bottom half is what counts, my lad. The bottom half of this glorious beak of mine is the bucket in which we carry our window cleaning water. So if I don't slide the top half away, I'll be standing around all day holding it open. So I slide it away for the rest of the day. Even so, I'm still able to speak. And wherever I've flown, it's always been known as the pelican's patented beak. If I want to eat fish, that's my favourite dish, all I do is I give it a tweak. In the blink of an eye, out it pops, and they cry, it's the pelican's patented beak. Oh, stop showing off down there, shouted the monkey from the upstairs window. Hurry up and bring that small person up to us. The giraffe is waiting. I climbed into the big orange beak, and with a swish of wings, the pelican carried me back to his perch on the windowsill. The giraffe looked out of a window at me and said, How do you do? What is your name? Billy, I told her. Well, Billy, she said, we need your help, and we need it fast. We must have windows to clean. We've spent every penny we had on buying this house, and we've got to earn some more money quickly. The Pelly is starving, the monkey is famished, and I'm perishing with hunger. The Pelly needs fish, the monkey needs nuts, and I are even more difficult to feed. I am a geronious giraffe, and a geronious giraffe cannot eat anything except the pink and purple flowers of the tinkle tinkle tree. But those, as I'm sure you know, are hard to find and expensive to buy. The pelican cried out, right now I'm so hungry I could eat a stale sardine. Has anyone seen a stale sardine or a bucket of rotten cod? I'd eat the lot upon the spot. I'm such a hungry bod. Every time the pelican spoke, the beak I was standing in jiggled madly up and down, and the more excited he got, the more it jiggled. The monkey said, what Pelly's really crazy about is salmon. Yes, yes, cried the pelican, salmon. Oh, glorious salmon. I dreamt about it all day long. I never get any. And I dream about walnuts, shouted the monkey. A walnut fresh from the tree is scrumptious, gallumptious, so flavoury, savoury, so sweet to eat, that it makes me all wobbly just thinking about it. At exactly that moment, a huge white Rolls-Royce pulled up right below us, and a chauffeur in a blue and gold uniform got out. He was carrying an envelope in one gloved hand. Good heavens, I whispered. That's the... And we shall have to wait until Monday to find out whose car it belongs to, or whose car it is. So have a nice weekend, and I will see you on Monday for part 2. See you later. Bye-bye.